your first store in Okwebi?
Yep, that one right back there. That shop. That shop. That was the first store we opened. First store. The store in Okwebi. After selling clothes on the road in Tokwe Car for like 3 to 4 years, at this point, everybody that can tell you that you're wasting your life away has already told us. But we were hell bent on doing it because at that point we had already started seeing the dream, like it was now very, very attainable. It wasn't so far anymore because we had gone from selling 2 shirts a month to selling 24, 50, 58. Like, we had an order almost every other day. Clothes were cheap, so people were just buying it. We knew that all we had to do was open a store and we shut everybody up because that way they'll see that, oh, this is what they've always wanted to do. After Dragons then failed, Uncle Labi failed, we now decided, okay, you know what? How much exactly are we looking for? Like 2 million. And let's save this money by ourselves now. And we created something that we called bank money. Bank money was 1,000 from anything we sold. So regardless of how much it is that the item you sold was, you would save 1,000 in the bank. So we registered the business, open a bank account for Oluwafemi Clothing. I still use it till this day. So every item we sold, we take 1,000 from it, put it in the bank towards our store. At the end of one particular year, we're looking at the number of items we sold. And we realized that we sold maybe like 600 items. And I'm like, I sold 600 items. She sold more than that because women were buying more clothes than men were. I was like, if we could sell maybe like 1,000 items from the boot of your car in 1 year, if we had saved 1,000 off of each item we sold, we would have over 1 million. We said, okay, you know what? That's what we're going to do. Funny enough, we were very, very serious with that thing. And times were getting harder. Let me not lie. Times were getting harder, but we continued saving that money. A year or a year and a half, we had like over 1 million saved from 1,000. That's when I learned the power of saving. And we now started looking for shop spaces. But before we got to 1 million, we found a store on on Allen. It was a very small shop in the plaza. And I think they were looking, the bill then was maybe 900 or 600,000. But we had like 400K, right? We're still like 200K short. So we told the guy that, you know what, let's just go out small. We'll be back. By the time we came back, maybe like a month or two later, the shop had already been occupied. And guess who took the shop? HOK. Who is HOK? Is Ronke Ashabi. Ronke Ashabi, we went to university together. She was selling clothes in the university. I used to look at her like, look at this Ras girl. Why are you selling clothes? I mean, our poor people, they sell clothes. Back then, we didn't know that was the way to go. So the day we walked to the place to go and say, okay, now we have 600K. We got there and Ronke's shop was there. And she was like, And yes, Ronke and I used to crack on joke back then in the university that I'll be richer than you, I'll be richer than you. We used to say it to each other. I will get money past you, I'll get money past you. So that day she looked at me, you're like, 600K, how come you guys didn't just pay for it? You mean you saw it first? I said, yes, but we don't get money. She laughed. Just as we were leaving, she tapped me on the shoulder to remind me. I told you I'll be richer than you. Didn't pay me. We left and we found another shop in Adeni Ijon. But we couldn't take that one because it was right on the road and there was a NEPA pole directly in front of the shop. Found another one in Allen, which I kept finding. There was one thing or the other wrong. As God will have it, the person that gave us to the connect to the first store was actually Tokwe's mom. Yeah, she was a principal in Kanko, Lagos State Model College. And she was in Ikeja one day. She saw one of our ex-students, and they got talking and that one told her, oh, she's an estate agent now. She's like, estate agent? My daughter is looking for a shop in Ikeja and environment. So like, oh, really? No problem. They exchanged numbers and then Tokwe's mom gave Tokwe the number. Tokwe just told the number somewhere. 3 days later, mom told me about it. Oh, I saw one agent in Ikeja. In case you guys are interested. I'm like, oh, we're very, very interested. So we're driving and I'm like, oh, Tokwe, call the agent. I was like, I'll call her. But I'm a very persistent person. I kept forcing and everything. And then she picked up her phone. She dialed the girl and the girl was like, oh, surprisingly, I just drove past one plaza now. You know what? If you guys can come tomorrow, I remember because we're on, what's it called? Igondo Road. We're driving. And I was like, why can't we go there today? And she said, okay. She calls the girl back. Can we come today? The girl says, oh, why not? You guys can come today. So we drove to Ikeja and the girl says, wait for me in front of the plaza at Balku Street. It's off of Okwebi. We pulled up in front of the plaza and while we were waiting for the girl, I decided to go inside the plaza to go and look at it. So I went inside. I went upstairs. I saw the shop space that was empty. And while I was looking at it, I was still mesmerized. Oh man, this place no bad. It was neatly organized. I mean, there were all shops. A lady came from one corner and said, she came from the other shop and said, hey, what are you doing here? I was like, oh, my agent came to show us this place. And they were like, where's your agent? I'm like, I don't know. She's on the way. We're waiting for her. She said, get out. I'm like, now like this now they do. She said, get out. I'm like, I was shocked. I was like, get out. Kilo day. Said, get out, get out, get out, get out, get out. She started chasing me out of the plaza and I went back downstairs. But I didn't tell Tokwe what happened because I knew that if I told her what had happened, she'd have told us to just go. She gets small temper problem. I was like, no, no, no. So we waited. The girl came. She showed us the place. Fortunately, the landlord lived next door. So we went to see the landlord and he says, oh, you guys, this is the price if you want it, blah, 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 blah. We say, okay. We tried to negotiate, but the guy was like, lie. The price is the price. So as we were about to leave, I was like, I was still deliberating. Tokwe was like, let's go to the bank and pay. And I'm like, why are we going to go to the bank and pay now? We can't do it tomorrow. She was like, no, let's go and pay. So we go to the bank, we make the transfer to the landlord, we transfer to the agent, and we're at zero. I think we had like 40K left from maybe 1.3 million. When we drove home that night, we were so happy because we had finally paid for a shop. And our dreams were now going to come to pass and people will see that we're great people. But after we paid for the shop, that was when we realized that we still had to renovate the shop, still had to stock the shop. Another set of problems. After we got the store, we didn't have money to renovate it, we didn't have money to stock it up, so it was just there. And I think the rent ran first 3 months, it was just there. But we'll go there every Saturday and just open the door, look around and be proud of our empty shop. And we started doing stuff in there gradually, electricity, painting. I painted the shop myself. In fact, for the first 3 or 4 years that we were there, I kept painting it by myself. But painted it, we had done all of that. Oh yes. One of my friends, photographer, Sheyi George, was shooting for a magazine called Sideview magazine, and they needed clothes for the artist. Then there was an upcoming artist, Wandeko. He just got signed to Moit at that point, and he had that hit song. So I went for the shoot. I provided clothes for the shoot, and the guy really liked the clothes. So he took my number and says, "Oh, I'll call you when I need clothes." 4 days later, he calls me up and says, "Hey, where can we meet up? I need to make some clothes." I'm like, okay, no problem. But I was happy this time. I mean, we have a store. So I said, oh, we have a store in Ikeja. Let's just meet at our store in Ikeja. He says, oh, that's fine. Then Moise, they were living in Maryland. So he drove down to the store. It was as I was opening the store door that I realized that it was an empty space. Like there was nothing. And this guy could just think, say, we can't swap him. Anyway, he walked in, he looked around, they're like, there are no clothes there. I'm like, oh, yes, actually, we just got the place, we're about to do it, blah, 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 blah. Me, rapper, I rapped him well. He said, okay, no problem. His manager was skeptical. They were like, no, the guy no fit run. He ordered some jackets, ordered some pants, ordered some shirts. Everything was like 250K. Now, 250K then, it's probably like 2.5 million naira now. And I was like, okay, no problem. So how do we, the guy put his hand in his back pocket, put 100K on the table. Come on, 100K for you again. Put that for table. I'm like, 200,000. And he says, when will the clothes be ready? I said, 2 weeks. And they left. When they left, pulled out the shutter, closed the door, tear the money, just spray on for us. Say, with the blow, don't make calm. Because business was slow that period. And we're looking, every single dime we were making, we're throwing it back into the store renovation. So I took the money, I made his clothes. In fact, I called him a week earlier that, okay, your clothes are ready. He came, he tried them on. He took a part of them, then the others, he said, oh, alter this one, this. Then my manager will pay you the balance. The manager never paid me that balance. From the 200K that I put on the table, we're able to make enough clothes to open the store. Yeah. And yes, we had already started trying our hands out on ready to wear because back then when we go to customers' office, we would have a set of clothes in the car for them to buy from. And we had seen from that ready to wear was the way to go. Because unlike made to measure where you take the customer's measurement, you go and buy the clothes, you make the fabric, then you bring it back. Ready to wear, the day you see the customer like this, he will pay you and you go your separate ways. You've collected your money, he has collected his clothes. We put the clothes in the store, we opened it, and we did the opening party. And our friends turned up for us. It was great. We had a great opening party. We sold a lot of clothes. I think we probably sold maybe like 150,000 naira worth of clothes that day. But people came and they bought. But on that opening party day, I remember that everybody was sweating because we didn't have AC in the shop. And we only had one standing fan. But they still shall buy, sir. We went home that day counting cash like 150K. 150K in today's money, it was 10 years ago, probably like 1.5 million or 1 million. It was the beginning of the dream. We're excited, like, God. Things were so good that we went to LG the next day to buy a big generator that could carry this. Finally, our dreams are coming to pass. People are going to see the kind of stuff we're made of. But we didn't know that nobody saw it could be. So the next day, nobody came to shop. Day after, the day after, the day after, the day after, the day after. 1 week, nobody came. 2 weeks, nobody came. Because the moment we opened the store, lost all of our customers. Because all the customers that we had back then were used to us coming to them, taking measurements and making the clothes. Now we had flipped it on his head and we had told them that, oh, you want to buy something from us? You need to come to us. So we lost all of our customers and we had to start from scratch, building customers all over again. And it wasn't even funny, but paid off in the end, child. I think it was the first year after we got the store. Then Tokwe's mom called me one day and said, you've always told me that you guys want to open a shop, that when you open this your shop, everything will settle and your life will be this, your life will be that. Now you have the shop. When are people getting married? And I was like, okay. Long story short, we decided to get married because at that point, I now understand our fears that, this boy that has been dating my daughter for the past 4 years, this boy that him and my daughter are building business together, if they can't go break up and go, hey, Jesus, and the business in his name, no, no good like that. So, kudos to that woman because she moved out of their house, the house they were living in at that point. Now that I think back, now that I think about it, she moved out of that house just so we could move in. Because when she said, oh, when are you guys getting married? I was like, oh, we need to get a house, and the house we want, we don't want to live here, we want to live in Ikeja, or where be close to our store. She was just looking at me that day like this, like I said, this is only Chris. Anyway, she says, if you calling your Martin Berry, you have to start from somewhere. And I was like, I can't have a shop in Ikeja and be living in either Iba Estate or Igbo or all these areas now. She was just looking at me like this. Like, this one nowhere. Long story short, she moved out so we could move into that flat, which was very close to our workshop, which made a lot of sense. Shout out to her. And it's surprising because that woman actually detested me from the start, if I'm going to be honest. Because I remember the first day she saw me, she looked at me like, she was sizing me up like, what was this? And then she used to always counter me then that, why am I leading her daughter astray? As in, this is not the kind of life plan they had for this daughter. They thought their daughter was going to go to London, go and do her masters and all of that. And here I am making her chase a dream where no go make sense. But somewhere along the line, I think after a while, I think she got tired. She started becoming our supporter because she was the one that was always saying, this thing that people are doing is a waste of time. She went from that to now looking out for us and constantly saying, maybe you guys should try this, maybe you guys should try this. That's the power of persistence. If you persist long enough, even your unbelievers go believe. We moved into Iba Estate. We were living there. We had a store in Ikeja. We drive to Ikeja every day to go and sell clothes. Some days we sold, some days we didn't sell. As at that time, we had Waheed and Kazim. And when Kazim decided to leave, I was already fed up with making clothes in Nigeria at that point. Because I was like, okay, what's the next thing? We don't open shop. We had started selling, and I started seeing other local brands that were making clothes abroad. The customers, they didn't know, but I knew that these clothes were made for this brand. So I wanted to do that as well. And then that happened at the same time that Kazim left. And I said, okay, you know what? I'm not even doing Made in Nigeria again because I saved up a little bit of money at that point. Because the moment Tokwe told me that she was pregnant, I knew that we had to up our income because it's one thing to feed your husband and wife, it's another thing to feed kids. And I knew that babies were expensive anyway. 3 days after she gave birth to Avisha, she was cutting clothes for one particular bridal train, and those ones still didn't even pay balance. Yes, that's Made in Nigeria was giving people opportunity to owe you well because they will pay advance, they will not pay balance. And me, I don't like shouting on people. Nigeria won't be you.